Sorry, I curse a lot.
No, I know. I watched your videos, so I kind of got a little bit of background for your mood. I did my research.
Okay,
Enjoy it out
when
there.
November's your birthday?
November 16th.
Me too! And it's got the best name ever. Chill bitch. It's probably what you want to tell me 10 times a day.
What were some of the things that were happening that you weren't expecting?
I'm like, that's it. Forget Palm Crafted. I am done.
I don't like paperwork at all, right?
Yeah.
I don't even think about it.
Yeah, you don't do it. I do.
But
Give
feels
it to
like
God, go to sleep. Jesus, take
Pray. Like, I always feel guilty. I'm
No
always
matter
like,
what.
am I a good mom?
Me too.
Like, I don't know.
And then he's talking, I'm like, that's what the fuck you interrupted me for?
along the way, like how many ebbs and flows would you say you guys have come?
Like,
I don't think I can count that.
and like, we're not selling shit. You know, it's hot in July, and I'm like, you can still burn a candle.
If it's something you're passionate about and you're all in, you're going to tend to look towards how are you going to learn and grow from it versus I'm never doing that.
Otherwise,
the dynamics are...
I want to hear this. Go ahead. I don't think I've heard this from you yet.
So because of that, she's...
a team, we want me to be happy.
And support. Yeah. Your life would be better if I'm happy.
This is what has been the most impactful part about this whole thing for you guys, about going on this palm crafted journey so far.
Welcome to episode 1 of our new show. She is Lais and I am the coach, and that is the name of our show.
First of all, if there's ever been a time for personal bubble, this is it.
We will always stay true to what we do. What you're doing is going to get you to the next place. Throw the list away. It's only a matter of time before you cave.
You can look way better than you used to.
Such a great experience.
Well, like it knows everything you can give it.
Shown curiosity.
What if it actually works?
I've been talking como persona. 100%. An extra vitamin C right now.
Sometimes it is a member.
Welcome, everybody. Peace out, everybody.
Sorry, I curse a lot.
No, I know. I watched your videos, so I kind of got a little bit of background for your mood. I did my research.
We're good?
That's awesome.
All right. Give me the countdown, Bree.
That dog needs to.
Yeah. The dog what?
The dog needs to shut it.
And welcome everybody to Lais and the Coach. We are back with episode 3, season 9, and we are staying on schedule. And I don't know which camera to look at. So
This one.
That one, great.
And they're looking at that.
We got a lot of cameras now.
And we can look at each other because we
Yeah. So we are back with another story. A couple of weeks ago, we were at the St. Cloud market, and one of my friends, Emilio, referred us to go to the market and pick up some candles. And along the way, Lais loves to read up on people's stories.
I do.
And we were reading the story on their website. We're like, how freaking cool.
Their Instagram.
We would love to chat with them.
Yes.
And luckily enough, this season we have transitioned a little bit in the way that we do our show, where we are talking a lot more about different journeys and different processes so that a lot of you can relate to all the other parts of being on a process. And because we want to talk a little bit more about business this season, we decided to have them on the show. So guys, welcome to the show.
Thank you.
Tell everybody who you are and the name of your company and business.
Yes, my name is Mimi Palm. With my husband, we're the Palms, and together we own Palm Crafted. So it's a home decor, home fragrance company, small business that we started up from our passion of being creative and hand making things, and here we are today.
Awesome.
Love it.
Awesome. I love it. So first things first, one of the most important things is that the decision to do anything always starts at a moment in time.
Yeah.
But I think everything requires a little bit of context. So how did this get started?
So funny enough, the idea of Palm Crafted began a very long time ago.
Okay.
It was what we've always done. His dad was a carpenter, so we also do woodworking. So he's always inspired to do that, and he came up with the name Palm Crafted, and we loved it. We actually got the domain in
2 years
before we even started officially on the business, because we were like, let's get the domain so we can save that in the event that we eventually win, or if we do, we have it. And I went and did my MBA. I graduated with my MBA and finished in 2020, and we kept talking about it. And when you have an idea in your mind, you're always like, want to do it, but then time goes by and you don't do it, and then it's just life gets in the way, and
life
so
doesn't stop.
Yeah, so I finished school, and then COVID happened, and we're like, oh my god, are you serious? So during that entire time, we I fell into candle making for a distressor to stimulate emotions. Like it was just like one of my outlets, and he loved the woodworking. So I was like, how can we combine this together so we could do it as a team? And then we were like, well, it makes sense. Like home decor, home fragrance, like let's go for it. Yeah. And that's what we did. So we finally pulled the plug and started in November. And as on my birthday, I was like, as my birthday gift, like I'm going to get the license as like accountability. Like we're going to post it, do it out there. November 16th.
Me too.
So
yeah. The same exact birthday.
There you go.
How did that happen?
So yeah. And then we signed up and started little and
hit the ground running. What are you talking about, little?
Yeah, we hit the ground running. I think, yeah, it was like one of those when you're like just commit and you're like, let's just go all in, and so that's what we did.
So did you guys was it an idea that you decided to go all in on that day, or were you already in the back?
We were already in the back.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, she mentioned that she started going to get her MBA. Mm-hmm. So right around the same time she came home and said she wanted to go back to school was the time I came home and said I wanted to start with the woodworking that I've been interested for a while.
Okay.
So I put that on hold for 2 years to help support because we have kids and work and school and everything. So she graduated. So that whole 2-year period, I'm still researching and, different tips and tricks and the epoxy woodworking that I like to do.
Okay.
And ins and outs and everything. So that after that 2 years passed and we started the business, I just jumped right into a full table build.
So we did prepare, we did
so
our
you were doing some behind the scenes work,
a lot of
trying to figure out like logistics and things.
Yeah.
And then November 16th comes, you get your license.
I'm so excited. Sort of celebrating this.
And what was step one? Like, what did you do day one?
So day one officially, so in the very beginning, before we even started officially, like we had to group our, like, what is it that we stand for? Like, why are we doing this? When we first started, like I said, it was just to kind of stimulate emotions, and I'm always doing gifting and creating things. And so we had to really kind of gather our thoughts of like what we want to do. Like we're just not going to start a business and be like, we're open, we had to like really, like, what are we bringing to the table that's different? And so my schooling did help.
Okay.
Right. Like that school, like getting my master's in business, there's a lot that you learn, but a lot of it's not learned until you actually start and do it.
The
so
application,
so even though I had that background and we did that kind of prep work, but to get to that, then it was like, okay, what do I need to do now to make it legit? Like, get our license, get registered, like do all those different like administrative stuff that is still annoying to this day. You don't, you want to just do the fun things. You don't want to do the background, but that was kind of like the first step that we did. First, let's gather our thoughts. What is our why? Why are we doing this? And then let's make sure we're set up properly before we begin selling and doing stuff like that.
A lot of times, it's very reminiscent of when somebody goes on a fitness journey. Because a lot of times,
the why is so important.
Number one, the why is critical, right? To know why you're doing it. But the other thing is that people get lost in the minutia. Like, do I join this gym or that gym? Do I cut this out or that out, right? Or
it's funny, we have those conversations all the time. We're like, should we go here or there? But this one's this much and this one.
Right. And then what ends up happening
and
is
then we never start.
And then you never start, right? Because you're trying to figure all those things out. And what you need to do is what you guys did, which is like, let's just take a step.
Let's go.
Yeah.
Let's do one thing. Maybe I go on a walk today and think about what gym I'm joining. But at least you're taking some action until that moment where it becomes more formal. And then how did the integration happen?
For the products? Or,
yes.
You kind of piggybacked on my idea.
What was your idea?
Honest.
What was your idea?
The woodworking.
What idea?
Yeah.
So
I know, right? Refresh my memory. No, go ahead.
So in the beginning, I love the epoxy river tables, finding the very unique pieces of wood that you can't really usually work with, and then implementing the epoxy and just having a very unique one-of-a-kind piece you're also bringing in some nature into your home.
Yeah.
Okay.
So that's where I wanted to start. And so with that whole bringing nature into home, feeling that tranquility, she loved the whole candles and fragrances. So she's like, hey, we can do that. And
because candles does bring tranquility. It brings peace.
We have candles at all the time. This is my favorite.
Yes.
Okay, guys, go check it out. And it's got the best name ever. Chill Bitch.
Yes, that is.
It's probably what you want to tell me 10 times a day. We're going to get back to that. But
we'll get back to that. All that'll be linked in the...
I know.
Yeah. So, I mean, integrating, it was just kind of like, we wanted to do something together, but we still wanted to do things that we were both passionate about.
Right.
And then, we're husband and wife, like we're together at home all day. Like
All
We
day,
were,
every
Us
day.
too.
so before we even got started, we're full-time like employees. Like, so we were juggling a lot of stuff. We were juggling parenting. We were, had our careers and, starting the business. So like, it was like another endeavor to take on and add on to our like to-do stuff. So it was just like, you really love doing that. You're passionate about that. I'm passionate about this. And now we're a team and we're going to be passionate together. And so we've morphed. I mean, I think we've changed branding. We did a big branding last year, but, I'm always changing. I'm always like, I'll release something and then I'll think about it. Like, did that work? Like, I don't think that looked good or
such an entrepreneurial thing.
Yeah.
Right. I always joke about it, but I always tell people, like, when we opened the gym, I didn't want to franchise anything because I want to do my thing.
Right.
And if 2 months in, I literally tell the story that if I wanted to paint the place yellow, I could do it because it's mine, right? And if I want to change the name, which I've done so many times. I can do that, right? And that's part of owning what you're doing.
Yeah.
And I think that sometimes when people go on the entrepreneurial journey, they want to cut corners because they're not actually connected to the thing that they're doing. So the why is critical.
Yeah.
Just like knowing why you're going on a transformation.
Because the why becomes the anchor.
It does. But I mean,
even when everything else is changing around.
And you still get distracted. Sometimes you forget, right? Like you're like me. I mean, I always do because I'm always like, oh, we could release this. And I'm thinking about like different products and I'm like, wait, we have like all these things that we have to do first.
Right.
So sometimes you have to pause and kind of readjust and then get back on track because it's going to happen. Like no matter how driven you are or how focused and you're like, we got this, you always got to go back and say, okay, no, how does this relate to the brand? How does this relate to us?
That's like me and him. Like he's like that. Like he's like doing 10 million things.
I've had 10 ideas this week.
I'm there with you.
Calm down.
Yeah.
But
he's just like shaking his head.
Always something new. Yeah.
So at the very beginning, because I always like the inception part.
Yeah.
What were some of the things that were happening that you weren't expecting? Because everybody gets into it to do the thing they like, right? You want to build, you want to, get into the actual meat and potatoes of it.
Yeah.
But what weren't you expecting?
So it was like, what was it in the beginning? Just keeping up, like with not demand, but keeping up with our schedule.
Okay.
And when we went like balancing it.
And was it all online?
We did online and then we transitioned to market so we can have that visibility.
Okay.
So now you're already looking at two different ways of business, right? You have your online, which is completely different, e-commerce. And then you have the market that we've never did before. So in the very beginning, there's a lot of trial and error. And so there were so many things that we didn't expect that we quickly adjusted for the next time. So it could have been easy as like stock and supplies, like what we didn't account for in the very beginning. And I think this had to do with the pandemic and the supply chains. We were short on stock. So we would release a product and we would buy what we thought was enough. And then we were like, oh, we'll just reorder. No, there were delays. It was taking time. We were in the middle of the holiday season. It was November. It was like Christmas and we didn't have product to push because we were, waiting for things to come in.
Within the COVID period, it kind of messed with us mentally because, like she said, when we run out of candle jars, we'll just reorder more. But because of COVID, there was a shortage of glass, there was a shortage of pallets, like shipping, like everything had a shortage to it that just delayed and prolonged trying to get anything back in.
And it lasted a while, right?
It lasted a while.
It wasn't just during COVID.
It lasted a good year. Throughout the year, we were trying to we were playing catch up. We were like, oh, we weren't expecting this like supply chain, delays and stuff. Like that's something that, I went to school. They don't say, hey, by the way, you have to,
If you ever run into a supply chain
right, like this is what you need to do. And we're like, holy cow, like what's happening? Like we're not gonna. When is this even coming? Like we didn't even know when they were gonna be back in stock. So it was just honestly in the very beginning, it was just not. I don't even want to say that we weren't prepared. Like we were prepared for what we thought we were going to do, and it was just like a trial and error to be honest with you when we're doing the markets, but. One of the things was making sure we're organized. Like organization is still something that we struggle. Yeah. Preparation or being organized when it comes to like accounting or paperwork. Like that is still something that we are always on the go. We still have to make time for those little things, like tax season's coming. I'm dreading it because I'm the one that, but those are the things that in the very beginning and inception, like you have to think about that.
Yeah.
But I don't think anybody's ever ready for the hiccups, right? Like at all. Because even when you write a good business plan, no one writes a business plan with these contingencies about all the things that could go wrong.
Yeah.
Right? Because you don't anticipate them because you've got this dream or idea that's
or the
going to
thing
be
you
perfect.
like to do.
And so it's hard to prepare for them. But I think that when the moments like that arise is when you are almost solidifying that the idea is the thing that you want to pursue. Because most of the time, I mean, I'm sure you know, like most businesses fail, right? Like in the first 6 months, so those are usually the moments, again, just paralleling to a fitness journey. Those are the moments where somebody would quit, right?
Yeah.
That first weigh-in, that first, mess up on their diet plan, or the first time they don't go work out. It's always these moments that no one's preparing for that are usually the thing that makes somebody say, okay, this is too hard.
Throws them off.
They throw in the towel, right? So that happens. You keep moving forward.
We always want to throw. I'm always wanting. I'm like, that's it. Forget Palm Crafted. I am done. And you like it's a love hate. Like it's our baby, but you're right. You have these hiccups, and you just have to go fight through it.
100%.
And I think for me,
and you're always happy you did.
Yeah.
You have to be okay with being flexible when
big time
speed bumps come along.
And a lot for me, it's more on mental health. You have to be mentally strong.
Yes.
So that's another aspect of our company. And I've been on this journey for the last 4 years on getting, really focusing on mental health and mental awareness and stuff. And so making sure that you're at peace, you're mindful, you know how to regulate your emotions, because a lot of the times if something happens, you are angry, you're stressed out, and that you quit, you feel hopeless. There's so much that goes into play. And for me, at least, it's the accountability that we're posting. We're out in the public.
Right. Everyone's watching.
So even though in the back scenes we're like, that's it. Let's just, this is not working. Exactly. Fuck, I'm done. I am stressed out. I haven't cleaned the house, but it's that accountability that's out there. And we're like, oh my God, but we have to show up, and so, it's ours, it's us. And even though it's our business, I don't have to show up. It's my business. I could post if I don't want to.
You don't post if you don't want to. You can take the day off if you want to.
Right.
And I think, and I said this last time, the thing that, everybody's so quick to say that when you are your own boss or you own your own business, you never work a day in your life. And it's just not true. All you do is work. Because you want to work more. Because especially if you enjoy what you're doing, right?
Yeah.
It's longer hours. It's no days off. It's all this other stuff. The thing is that I think that what people are trying to say is that when you're working on a project that's yours, that's something that you enjoy, it's not supposed to feel like work because it's yours. But the truth is that you work harder, and you take things harder too. The highs are high for a moment, but the lows are, intense because you feel all of it. Yeah. Especially when you're dealing with people, and their opinions.
You're not clocking in and out.
Right.
Yeah.
You never clock out.
No.
So no one is prepared for that part.
What?
He's
Never
like, well,
clocking out.
she doesn't.
Well, during our trip to Puerto Rico, our anniversary getaway, no kids, relaxing time, right?
On the beach in Puerto Rico.
Time to detox and just get back into nature and mental health.
Mental health. Remember that?
Yeah, I know.
This one over here keeps bringing up, oh, we got this coming up this week. Oh, we got to do this with Homecraft. I'm like, we're not working.
Yeah.
Stop.
No, but it's in my head. I need to tell you before I forget it.
Well, it's funny, and I'll circle back because the only thing that we do is go out to dinner. We go out to dinner.
We're big, related.
Right. We're big foodies, but we'll go to dinner on a date. And it's like, all right, so this is what we got this week.
Should I bring out my notepad?
and we spend an hour over dinner talking about the thing that we never turn it off,
It's
hard.
And
it's hard because it's yours. And it's hard to fully unplug.
Yeah.
Because you could be walking on the beach surfing with no intention, and then an idea pops in. And you're like, all right, do I ignore this? Do I ignore this? Do I just surf?
And I feel
you can't get it out because it's it's your thing.
Back to the mental health thing, depending on where you are emotionally or with your mood, you have different ideas and you have different thoughts around different things. So if if my son is screaming and the dog is over here and we're going back and forth and I got to get on a Zoom and we're in that, I am a different person than if I'm at dinner and we're chilling and I'm having a glass of wine and we're good. I'm not going to say better, but I'm different. So it's like, I don't mind having those business talks because I know it's two different versions of me and both benefit from, the business benefits from both of those versions. Right. But I agree with you, but you do also have to have moments where you just cut it.
It's a balance. Yeah. And I think I'm always constantly thinking, I don't think he thought about business while he was surfing at all. He was like, he's good at keeping that, so it is about balance because he would be the one to kind of check me in and be like, no, we're not doing that. Or, cut that off.
You need to find, and on this front, mostly because we are working on this constantly, but you do have to find the moments where, I don't know if unplugging is the right word, but definitely recharging. Yeah. Because it does take a toll on you. And when you're trying to grow, then if you don't have the ability to recharge the mind, then it's hard to continue to be creative. Yes. And as time compounds and more things come up that are not part of the thing that you actually love, right? Like, I don't like paperwork at all, right? I don't even think about it.
Yeah, you don't do it.
I don't do it, right?
I do.
But what it does is it gives me room to be all in on the things that I am creative on, right? So, but that frees up mental space for me to not even think about it. Yeah. And when I am maxed out, then I'm like, all right, I don't want to think about anything. It's like, shit, I went too far.
Because you almost start to,
you don't want to get to that. You don't want to get to that point.
You don't want to get to that point.
Enjoying it.
Exactly.
But the thing is that you never, or at least we rarely notice until we're there already. Yeah. Because we always try to squeeze a little bit more out. Yeah. One more day, one more thing, one more email,
but I gotta get this done.
One more thing. I could get this done quick. And before you know it, it's like, I'm done.
Yeah.
I'm done.
I think
hit me hard
this past season.
Yeah, the end of the season around Christmas time, because all of November, all of December, every day we had so many markets we're going to, so many products we're releasing, so many orders, and I'm kind of a stay-at-home dad, so I've been fulfilling all those, doing the stock room, like inventory, all the behind the scenes, that type of stuff that
no one sees
every day, all day. Got to Christmas time, and I'm like, all right, that's it. I took the 2 weeks off. I'm like, order comes in, I'll fill it, but that's it. I need to take a little bit of a break.
It was really busy.
It was a lot.
Yeah. And to put it into perspective, I still have a full-time career job. Like I'm by day, I'm a global, I work in IT. So I work for a global company and it's remote. So I have the luxury of having that flexibility. Okay. So it's still a lot of things are in the plate that you need to like balance out. Right. So, there's a moment where I have to log off or I have to cut that. And then I transition into Plum Crafted. But then like, I have to do family time. I have to, so that we always have to mindfully kind of break it down and recharge, rebalance, get recentered. And it goes to any task that we're transitioning to. So,
and back to the fitness. That's so just how it works, right? It's like we're all busy.
Fitness wise, and I was going to ask, like, do you guys have a way of navigating through what you're prioritizing? And the reason that I ask is because most of the time people are trying to balance things out. And I don't think that you can, because things can't be even. No. There's a finite amount of time every day, and it's hard to give everybody and everything equal attention.
Something is always off.
So do you guys have a formula that you use for distribution where it feels like
God, go to sleep.
So well,
Jesus,
pray like every day, like burning sage, like so. Go ahead.
I think it's kind of a scenario by scenario basis. So like right now we have an event coming up. So for us personally, everything that's going to be top priority will be orders. If we get an order in, it has to be fulfilled right and out within a timely manner.
Right.
Beyond that, if we have an event coming up, we have to prep for the event.
Right.
But above everything else, to help with family life and balancing, make sure we're not ignoring the kids every day, is that we will cook every day. I'll sit down, I'll cook dinner. We sit down at the table and have dinner every single day, and we try to hang out with them and watch a movie or do something with them. Play games, read a book, and put them to bed, and then we go back to work.
Yeah.
Right.
So we still like pause and we're like, okay, we have all this chaos going on, but then we have that bubble, right?
How old are the kids?
16 and soon to be 8.
Okay.
So there's a gap there, but dinner every night. We have conversations. We, after dinner we'll play cards or games or whatever.
You take family time.
Yeah, and they're structured, so they go to bed. Well, with the exception of my 16-year-old, but bedtime is at 8:30, right?
Oh, wow.
So
that's awesome.
Every day.
I should have met her 7 years ago.
So yeah,
my son goes to bed at like midnight.
No, 8:30, and she even yesterday she's like, "Mom, I want to go hit the hay." And we're like, "All right, we're gonna go hit the hay," so she's already accustomed to that routine since a long time ago, and we did that because we were like, if we don't do this, like, we're not gonna get a grip on.
Because there's also your relationship,
right. Because then she goes to bed, and we're like, all right, if we don't have anything to do with Palm Crafted, then we're like, let's catch up on a show or something rated R that we can watch, and that's our time. But from
catch up on our own sleep.
From a family, kind of to keep things balanced, because you said like you can't give everything 100%. We do rotations, right? So we do rotations, meaning we'll have a date night, and then the next kind of outing, we'll do like daddy and the kids day. And then I have my alone time, and then I'll have the day with the kids, and then he has his alone time. And then we kind of rotate like that. So it's like, it's your day with daddy, or it's what do you plan? So that way we have quality time with each other in some sense. And we do like a rotation.
Does it ever feel less guilty?
I always feel guilty. I'm always like, am I a good mom?
Me too.
Like, I don't know.
Miserably.
I am a horrible wife. I haven't cleaned in like years. It feels like, so no, it doesn't take it away.
We did a whole show on that.
Mom guilt
it's bad. Mom guilt, it is
wife guilt.
Everything, all the above.
And I think that happens, and I am tying this all together. I think that it happens because there's a certain level of expectations that people have around what it's supposed to look like.
He tells me that all the time.
That are tied to a lack of application, right? It's like you go to school for business, and there are so many things that are missed, right? Because you haven't done the thing yet. It's all theoretical.
Yeah.
And just like being a parent, being a spouse, like until you're in the trenches, that you start to see like this is not at all what it seemed like.
No one really teaches you growing
and no
up.
one teaches you exactly how to do it.
Yeah.
Then there are all these set expectations about what you think it should be like, and when you don't meet them, you feel bad.
Yeah.
You feel fit, like,
but then if you actually stop for a second and you think about it, you're like, damn, I do a lot. I do a lot more than I thought I was going to do.
Yeah.
And maybe it looks a little bit different than I envisioned, but so does a lot of things. Being an entrepreneur is different.
Yeah.
Starting a business is different. So the rules of the game have to be different for somebody that's doing something different.
Yeah, like you're doing something different, but you're kind of stuck. That's what he tells me all the time, on what you think it's supposed
When
to be.
we met, you wanted to have 4 kids. And I said, let's have 1 and then reevaluate whether or not.
I wanted more kids, but that's a discussion for another day.
We won't go there.
But yeah,
I wanted 4 kids until I had 1, and I was like, yeah, no, fuck that. I love them. And luckily I've, been able to have 3 in my life since I met him. But no.
Yeah.
Hell no. It's a lot more than I anticipated. And I had a vision for my life.
Yeah.
I wanted to stay home, and I wanted to have 4 kids, and I wanted to be a soccer mom and be a stay-at-home mom and do all these things. And I was like, I don't want any of this shit.
No.
Like, I want to do business, and I want to do work, and I want to work on me, and I love them. But I think quality over quantity has definitely been like our thought process, because it's like, we don't sit with them every single night. For us, that's not, and that's when I was saying, like, no one teaches you, but even if they did, doesn't mean that it would work for you.
Yeah,
right?
Like, there is a one-size-fits-all. Is always different.
Kids change so much, and so do the business and our personal lives, and it's like you have to constantly adjust, but being mindful, like you said, of like, okay, like, have I spent time? Sometimes my connection with him is like, if he's showering, I'll sit there and talk to him, or I'll make him breakfast and make him get off his iPad and sit here, because he's also homeschooled, so like we are all here all day.
Same.
But
really? No, they go to school. They go to school. We're just home all day.
Right. So we're all here all day, but it's like, just because I'm here doesn't mean I'm here.
Yeah.
Like, I have a lot of days where I'm like, I haven't even seen him. Right. I'm in the same house. So it's like, just because he's homeschooled, it's like, I'm not sitting next to him doing that stuff.
Just because you're home doesn't mean you're not working.
Exactly.
Right.
100%. Trying to pick things up.
Sometimes when he comes to talk to me and I'm like, okay. And I'm like, yeah. And I'm like, hold on.
That is my biggest thing that I got to work on. Is the phone and always looking down. Like, it's a constant.
Like, stop and look
up.
Be a zombie.
Yeah.
And then he's talking. I'm like, that's what the fuck you interrupted me for? Really? That was like, and then like I'm like, spit it out, bro. But it's not necessarily balance or moments where if we have events or if we have launches or if we have things we're working really hard on because it needs to to come to fruition at a certain time or a certain way, then that has more of our attention. But then we'll later, it's not that you balance it out, but then it's like, okay, that happened. So like, let's go do a cruise with the kids, or let's go do a family day, or let's go do a date night, right? Or like, we have to talk about these business things. Let's do it over dinner. So at least we're also on a date. So it's like, it's not balancing, but it's like.
And those are the things that no one prepares you for at the beginning of any journey, right? And usually when we start working with a new client, I always say, listen, life is going to get in the way of this journey. Whatever it is that we want to accomplish, life is going to get in the way. And I know that already day one. You don't think so. You think that you're going to go all in and you're going to do all these things perfectly.
Because in your mind, you're like you said,
you're committed. You're like, I'm in. I'm going to do everything. I'm going to eat the food like this. And I'm going to train hard. I'm like, until it rains outside. That day's different.
Or it gets cold, like the 1 week in
all
Florida,
those things
you know? And
so this entrepreneurial journey is exactly like that, because you get in for all the reasons that, it fulfills you. But then along the way, things like even the relationship part, and you guys do it together, which is sometimes not the case. Sometimes you have the business entrepreneur person, and then you have the one that isn't, that's trying to support, and it's complicated because it does take so much,
it does.
If you are all in.
Yeah.
And that becomes a difference.
It does. And I think you even brought it up, like, it's not what you expect. Like, people don't, like, you starting off a business, right? Everyone's like, I'm going to work my own hours and I'm going to do my own thing. And there's so much that goes in the back end. But once you start, like, it is a lifestyle that you have to, like, you're, like, no one, I don't think, we used to host parties. No one's been in our house for the last 2 years. We have a manufacturing, like, production at home.
Our house has been taken over with
big time. And it's like, no, we have this event, we have to do this. And, so we try to work in with family time, but it's a life. Like, we're entrepreneurs, and that's it.
Life.
Like, our life is now
there's times where I actually sit down with both the kids and be like, look, I'm pre-apologizing. We have a lot of stuff going on this week. We're going to be very busy with the business. Saturday, let's plan a day. We'll go out and make up the time.
Yes,
like that.
we do that too.
We do it all the time. And I think that it's hard to prepare for those parts of the business part, right? But it's where, being mindful of where you are right now, even if where you want to be is somewhere different, is kind of what keeps all of us that are trying to grow our businesses at least connected to something greater. Because, for example, if you used to host parties, but now the home is work-based, like home base, right? It's like, that's where we are right now. Where this is this, but we are moving toward X, Y, or Z, where maybe we take all of this and put it in something else, know? And just like that part of fitness where somebody is stuck and nothing is happening and they got to keep showing up and they got to do the thing and they got to like keep doing it.
Things are the way they are right now. We use that so much. Like, I'll say, I love this right now, or I really never want to do that right now. Right. Because the amount of changes that we've experienced, like in the last decade together, just look at like 2 years ago, how different your life was. And 2 years before that.
Even our thought process was different. You're changing with different experiences and things that you go through.
And as you do business more, the things that you thought were important before you started, all of a sudden don't even matter anymore. A lot of times we talk to a lot of we like to talk business. We like to talk shop with people. And at the beginning, so many entrepreneurs are worried about all of these things that seem like they would make a difference that have nothing to do with the business, and they don't double down on the actual, like, where are you going to get a client? Where are your customers going to come from? Right? They're worried about the cool, pretty things that you see from the outside, but what about the behind the scenes stuff? No one sees the work, And
I think a lot of times, even when you set out to start this journey of like a business, you understand that you're going to have to pay taxes and you're going to have to do all these things. But you're not really thinking about that. You're like, I get to do this woodwork and I get to do these candles. And it's like, I get it.
I'll deal with it then.
And you think like, but that's just that side. Like, I get to do this. And then you start to realize it's like, I get to do this, but I equally, if not more, have to do all this other shit. Right? Like, so that's why the anchor is so important, because the passion for what you do is one thing, but the anchor of why you do it, right? And same thing with fitness, is really what keeps that going, that why.
But also understanding the process that it takes and what you have to kind of follow, right? Because if you just want to go in to look great, like, you don't do like the process or the steps to stay organized, like, you have to, it's little steps that you do. It's the little changes, or one little change makes an impact, right? And you have 100%. To do that continuously to get to where you need to get to. Yeah, you have to do the fun things, but it's important to know the process,
1,000%,
understand like what it takes to apply. And
so along the way, like how many ebbs and flows would you say you guys have gone through?
I don't think I can count that.
We've had.
It has been a roller coaster ride for sure.
We're gonna hit. So we just hit our 2-year officially in November.
Nice.
So we're going into our 3rd year this year, and I think now, well, I don't even think I can't say like, oh, we got it all together. Like, no, we're still.
I don't think you ever do. It's kind of like parenting, right? It's like there's always another thing you gotta figure out.
But we've gone through a lot of ups and downs. You know, first it was the chain supply thing, and then it was, going in our first year and realizing the slow season, right? Because it's retail, and I hate retail. Like, why am I doing this? To be honest, like I never wanted to work in retail. I never wanted like the thought process of it. Like it was just daunting. But it was going through those seasons and saying, oh shit, this is slow season. Like we're not selling shit. It's hot in July and I'm like, you can still burn a candle, Like I'm trying to think of marketing ways. And that is another, social media is ups and downs. Algorithms are up and down. You know how it goes. So there's a lot of, depending on like what aspects you're looking at, there's ups and downs within anything. You just have to be prepared to do it.
How much of those ups and downs set you up to come out better?
I think all of them is a learning opportunity. Like my kids know this. Like every time they get annoyed with me because I'm like, it's a learning opportunity. They're like, you're always talking all like philosophical, but everything with the business too is a learning opportunity. It's like, oops, can't do that again. Or that didn't work, or that was a flop, or you
take it that way, right?
Right.
It's all a matter of perspective.
Yeah, exactly.
And if it's something you're passionate about and you're all in, you're going to tend to look towards how are you going to learn and grow from it versus I'm never doing that again.
It's a mindset. You can't go in with this negativity.
That's what I was going to say. Otherwise, you have no business being an entrepreneur.
No.
You just don't. I don't care how good you are at something or how much you love it.
Yeah.
You don't have that ability to look at everything like an opportunity or a learning curve or, you're going to push through. It's not for you.
Right, because if something doesn't work, it's just like something we won't do again, right?
Right.
And even that maybe didn't work right now.
Right, exactly. Or this wasn't the moment for that.
Right now don't work
exactly.
in 6 months,
And you have to be prepared along any process to navigate through those hurdles.
Yeah.
And then take that information and be mindful of maybe it didn't work in this scenario, but maybe it works in another, or maybe we don't want to do that again. And 6 months later, you're like, you remember that thing that didn't work? I think it can work now.
Again.
Like, let's try that again.
Yeah. It's funny you say that because there's things that don't work in different markets. Like, let's say we go out to different clients, right? You have different clientele, different regions, different areas. And there's things that we're like, okay, we did really well with this product in this market. And so we go all gung-ho and stock up on this. And then we go to a different market and we're like, what is happening?
And it's not only based on different areas. We can go to the same monthly market in the same exact spot in the same part of town.
Yeah.
And 1 month we'll do great with this type of product. Next time we're there, nothing. And then all of a sudden something else is showing people interest. And it's like, we've had that this entire time.
Yeah.
So you never can predict what's going to happen.
So even if it's not working, you really got to look at it like with a fresh mind. Like, is it not working because it just failed? Or is it like, just like you said, it's not the right time, or maybe we're not angling it correctly. Maybe it's placement. Maybe we just didn't put it on the right part of the table and people didn't see it. Maybe it's just display. It's perspective, right? There's so many different things. So you can't just, at the same time, you can't just be like, okay, I give up.
Right.
Or
it's almost like everything is a test.
So
like
everything is a learning opportunity.
Today we'll get to test it this way.
Exactly. And the only way that we could do that is when we're doing things in person, when we're doing markets. Online, I struggle still with online because, it's like, this a CEO or whatever and all this other stuff, but it's a learning opportunity for any time we come up to these up and downs or what we take away from.
So circling back to the beginning, when you guys set out to do this, right? That you're like, all right, we're going to do this, we're going to do it like this. Did you have a game plan in mind? Like, did you have like a year plan or a 5-year plan and milestones along the way that you were using as targets?
So honestly, no. Okay. Like when we started, like we talked about everything beforehand, But then we were just so excited that we just
That's
jumped in.
You just wanted to start something.
Yes.
Yeah. And so then after we went through it, I was like, I just graduated and got a degree, and I just did everything against everything I learned. Like, what the hell is wrong with me? Like, I should know better. And that, like, it was maybe 6 months in or something after we were able to like catch a breath. We were like, oh shoot, we have to put, what is our plan? Like, what are we gonna, what is our game plan?
But I think sometimes planning less is better, because then it doesn't leave you a lot of room to overthink it, and it allows you to just enjoy that, at least in the beginning. So you can even see if you like it, because you might fucking hate it. Well, that's the thing that people underestimate. Like, you might think you love something and then you don't.
Right.
You know?
Well, a lot of times, like, something you really enjoy as a hobby,
exactly,
once you're doing it full time,
doesn't translate.
Burn out and be like, this is no longer enjoyable.
Exactly.
And that, you know, sometimes you have to really kind of regroup and refocus. But as creatives, right, as people that are creative, we like to work on the fly. Like, I work very well under pressure. Like, we have an event that we weren't supposed to do, and it's coming up on Monday, and, you know, it was like, and, you know, and so I work really good under pressure, where I'm like, let's do this. Like, oh, execute this, execute that. And as creatives, it's hard sometimes to plan, because you don't know what you want to create or do.
Or change my mind.
You know, like,
you wait for inspiration, you know.
Exactly. Especially with like the home decor. Like, he would create something, or there's a piece of wood that we have in the garage or in our shop for like 3 years. And he's like, that's going to be it. You know, and then he'll come up with whatever idea it's going to be. But, you know, it's not all the time we were able to plan, but it's still important nonetheless to plan at least 100%. Your kind of game plan, where you want to be, where you want to grow.
If not, it's too aimless.
You know, you have your business, but then, like, how big do you want to grow your business? Mm-hmm. Like, what's the business for? Like, what? So if you do go back to like, why are you doing it? Like, is it you enjoy doing it and it's just like you like this space? Right. And as an entrepreneur, that's what you want to do, because, you know, it's an outlet. It's a forum for you to be individual and do your own thing. Okay. Is it a business that you're like, I need to scale? Right? I want to scale up. You know, you talked about franchise. Mm-hmm. So it really depends on where you are as an entrepreneur and what you want your business to be for your action plan to like take place.
Which is why you need clarity.
Exactly.
You
need to have that vision, that direction, what you want.
And enough clarity also to see if the thing that you were pursuing is just a hobby.
Exactly.
You know, like we had a little experiment with our son. Mm-hmm. You know, he's always looking to earn money. You know, like, what can I do?
He's 7.
And we realize that the world is changing, right? Yeah. And YouTube is a big thing, and he loves to watch and he loves to game. I'm like, so make some gaming videos.
Right.
And we'll post them. Maybe you can help other kids that are the same stuff he watches.
Yeah, yeah.
And I will pay you for this.
If you do a good job.
It was a great idea until he had to do it. Yeah. Right? All of a sudden it became work.
He will game all day, but if you tell him to do something specific,
if you tell him to game on purpose,
he would rather clean the car.
He would, exactly. Really, and then all of a sudden you see that even at that level, the hobby's great as long as it's for fun.
Yeah.
The second that there's work tied to it, and like, oh, I got a deadline and a timeline, and if not, I don't want to do it.
It's funny, because being an entrepreneur, like I don't want to say it was like a trend with COVID, you know, like everyone was like,
certainly it was.
Yeah, okay.
It still
is.
Yeah, it's like everyone wants to start their own business, but not everyone has that self-starter, and you have their skills.
People are not.
You know, like you have to have a sense of like you have to be a self-starter. You have to be a hustler. You know, there's certain things that you have to do to kick off and, you know, and start a business or be an entrepreneur.
We say that all the time because we come across a lot of people like that.
But you know, it's
or you know, and if you're not that person and you still want to have that business sense, then delegate. You know,
right?
You can still be creative, but delegate.
Starting a business can have so many different aspects, right? And so many different elements, and it doesn't always have to be the thing that you are most passionate about, right? It doesn't have to be that hobby that you enjoy that has to become your business, right? Yeah. If you are a business person and you want to work on your own terms or for yourself, there are a lot of different avenues to find it. But if you don't go out and take a moment to say, you know what, I'm tired of having somebody dictate when and where I'm going to work. I want to do it on my own, but I'd like to do it under these conditions. Then you're never going to find it, you know? Yeah. So the possibility is there for everyone, but it's just not most people are not
in everyone.
Most people are not stopping to even think about it enough to say how could this happen if I wanted to, and that's okay, right?
Like we need employees too. Like everyone should just do what they're happy doing. You know, a lot of times I feel like the entrepreneurial life stresses people out. Like, oh my god, I don't want to do. we know people like that, and family dynamics and our family. Like, I need, insurance, and I need a secure job, and I need 401k. That's awesome. If that's what helps you sleep at night, you should totally do it.
Yeah.
And what I do stresses you out. Like, that's why we don't do the same
likewise,
thing.
just to give you the parallel to fitness, her mom was here this weekend, and she was, weighing her food because we measure.
Well, she asked me if I was going to compete again.
Right. And like, are you competing? And like, no. Then why are you weighing your food? It's like, because that's what I do. Like, it's not a. So
you don't have to weigh your food anymore. I'm like, yes.
It's not dependent on whether or not I am doing something.
Like, you don't only check your bank account if you're trying to go on a vacation. You check it every day.
Right.
And you balance your books all the time, no matter what you have coming up, whether you have a big purchase or a vacation or not.
Yeah.
So the stress of somebody trying to be in business for themselves may be beyond what they are willing to even undergo. And that's okay. Like if you're listening to it and you're thinking about it, but you don't, like, it's okay.
Right, because in that same conversation, she was telling me how much her knees hurt. Sorry, Mom.
Yeah.
And how overweight she is. And I'm like, but you're not willing to measure your food and you'd rather have knee pain. That's on you. Like, that's not my problem.
But you bring up a good point, because as an entrepreneur, you're going to start getting outside feedback.
Oh, I love it.
That, is, you should do this. Maybe you should introduce this product.
Everyone knows everything.
And I'm like, okay, thank you.
Like those people with no kids, I want to play with your kids.
Yeah. So, if you're going through that and starting, you got to stay true to yourself and not get distracted by that outside kind of feedback.
And I'll tell you, and again,
I just have a little bit.
Right. Everybody's like, a little bit won't do anything. It's like, a couple push-ups won't do anything either. Yeah. But I don't see you dropping down.
There's always outside
voices. So
you're getting too big. You're getting too small. You're getting too skinny.
I think that it's important, because all small business owners specifically are always subject to opinions and criticisms of their social circle.
Yeah.
Right. And depending on where that social circle is on your value ladder, right, it can affect you in different ways. And I think that most small business owners don't have an outlet where they can connect with other people that are on the same page, even if in a different business altogether, can relate to what you're talking about, right? Yeah. In fitness, it's the same thing. It's like you've got all our people understand what process they're on and the journey that they're on. So we have a team and they can all relate to each other, right? But if they talk to their aunt or their cousin and everybody's got insight onto what they should be doing, even though they're not, it does start to like, should I? Like, no, you shouldn't listen to so-and-so, right? And it's like, but business owners rarely have the opportunity to talk to another business owner unless you're somewhere where there's a bunch of business owners, right? A networking event or a conference or something. Aside from that, you're on the island.
Yeah.
And you could be just sharing because you want to share, or you could be like, does this marketing strategy work for you? Or have you seen this? But sometimes you're just sharing. That's what I think people don't understand. Like, I'm not asking you to give me your opinion. I don't want your opinion. Like you said, the value ladder, right? Like, sometimes you don't even ask anything. And people feel like
all the time. You say something like, have you tried this? And like, no, I haven't tried it. I didn't think of that.
But I wasn't thinking about that.
I was in the middle of my Fortnite game and I didn't, give me a freaking break.
But you're right.
Yeah.
Tuning that out is so critical in anything you do in life.
Yeah. And that's why we like the monthly markets, and especially in St. Cloud. And, I'm thinking about when we have our struggles and we're like, oh man, I don't want to go. I don't want to forget about, we have our ups and downs. But when we go to markets and we actually connect with people and we see others in the same community, like, hey, how'd you do? Are you, good luck today, and giving each other a pep talk, like that community within the small businesses, like locally, is amazing. Cool. But it's also kind of like you're on show, right? I used to be a Disney employee, so you're on show, you're on stage, right? When you're doing the market, and that's when we honestly get energized, like, oh, that was great. Like we feel on a high after we leave a market because we've met great people, we've had conversations, even repeat clients. They come back and we love engaging and talking, and then we get home and we're like, all these fresh new ideas because we're so happy with the result, or we're so happy with whatever. And so, it helps too.
Right. And it's the evidence that you're on the right path. And that the thing that you're doing does fill you. Because you leave those moments recharge, right? Doing the thing that you're tired of doing, right? But you also leave inspired and connected. And it's like, shit, this is why we're doing this.
Exactly.
And those are the things, again, along the way that people don't realize that are so parallel. It's the moment you go to buy a pair of jeans and they fit.
Yeah, it's small wins, right? It's those small wins.
It's little things that add up along the way.
And help you and push you to continue doing things.
1,000%.
Have that outlet where you can go go to and don't get stuck in a routine, but have those, sign up maybe for an extra challenge or a competition or, a market or whatever the case, just so that you can connect with someone. And
exactly. You have to have targets along the way, which is why I asked, targets along the way that you are shooting toward, maybe not the end result, right? Because whatever the end result is the end result, but along the way, something that you are using as that marking period. We're like, all right, we are on track to this thing over here, but we needed to get here.
Yes.
And then from here to here is the next, and then we're working to that. Those things compound over time and should lead you along the way, but along the way, maybe you change directions, and I think that the flexibility in the approach is critical no matter what you're doing and what process you're on, because you have to give yourself enough room to change directions.
Yes. Adaptability, flexibility, and, all those skills, it's like you have to apply it.
You?
Yeah.
That no one teaches you.
Yeah.
How did you guys end up in St. Cloud?
So we're actually in the outskirts of St. Cloud. We're in Kissimmee, and like the next street is St. Cloud. My family lives in Kissimmee, and we, I lived at least in East Orlando for the majority of the time. When I came from Puerto Rico, I was only 4. So I've been in Florida like all my life. So when we had our youngest, we wanted to be closer to my mom. So then we ended up buying a house locally. We've been here since 2016 in this area. So he's from the north, so he's like,
we actually have seasons and colder weather, nicer climate.
He's still adjusting for the weather, even though he's been here forever. Like, so he struggles with working because he's like, it's hot outside, and I'm like, we're in Florida, dude. Like, you gotta deliver. Like, we gotta stock up. What do you do? Yeah, I'm on him all the time.
There's no time for this.
Yeah, what are you gonna present? But yeah, that's how we landed in this community.
By the way, like obviously we work together too, but that husband and wife, because COVID, can we say COVID or are we going to get flagged?
I think we get flagged, but I don't care.
The vid.
Yeah.
The
vid. 2020.
Yeah.
I found hilarious because everyone was bitching about my life, basically. They're like, my kids are home, my husband's home, I'm working from home. I'm like, that's my everyday, and all of you are freaking the fuck out. The only thing that changed for me is I can go to a restaurant, but that's it.
Yeah.
How is that dynamic from both? I want to hear from both of you.
So before the vid, we were on site. Like we went to work. So for us, I was happy being at home. Like I love being a remote worker. I like seeing people, obviously, but sometimes I don't, like I'm going to be real. Like it's exhausting. Okay. So the dynamics, I think we were blessed compared to other people and friends and family that we had.
But I mean, like with your business.
Well, I don't know, dude. I don't think he's giving me great manager reviews. Like I'm probably not. I've had to adjust. I don't know.
Well,
I'll let you answer this.
Is a little complicated because, as Mimi mentioned, she still has her full-time job.
Yeah.
It is very busy. A lot of meetings dealing with people all over the globe. So there are a lot of times where I need to have our Palm Crafted meeting to get some insight or feedback or guidance on something
or
that I need to do,
or something.
But I can't do it until we talk. I can't talk because she's busy with her day job, and so that part of it's very tough. So there's times where I gotta just figure.
But
out
our dynamics,
but the dynamics are.
I want to hear this. Go ahead. I don't think I've heard this from you yet.
So because of that, she's at home, but she's not really at home. So we're not constantly having this face to face.
Yeah, but you work on Palm Crafted together.
Yes.
How does that work in your marriage and your dynamic and your relationship? Like
it works. I think we bounce off really well with each other. We have good I tend to believe that we have good communication. I communicate more than he does. He doesn't talk clearly. You guys hear.
You do all the talking. So.
But we bounce off a lot of ideas, together, and we work well together, and we, it balances out. So it hasn't been. It's tough going into a venture or like something with your spouse, but if you don't have that foundation, right? If you don't have that kind of level of respect and confidence with each other, like it's not going to work. So we have to be on the same wavelength, like we have to be on the same page. And sometimes we're not. Sometimes I'm like, wait, you're not going in the right direction. That's not our brand, dude. Like, what are you doing? Like, what is this?
We're not having the same conversation here. I'm like, yeah, we are. I know exactly what the fuck you're saying.
Yeah. So we have those moments, but the dynamic works. Like we're a dynamic duo. Like he's a very great support. Like he's an awesome husband, awesome father, awesome employee of the month every month.
I'm
Like
still
he
waiting
is,
for my award. For
yeah, he is like employee of the year. So it's great to have that support and balance each other out. Like I'm the outgoing person, he's not. And so when we're at home and we're coming up with ideas, I still want to make sure that he's heard. Like, what do you know, sometimes he gets ridiculous with tools and he's like, I have this tool. And then I'm like, get to the bottom line. What's our return of investment on this? Like, are we gonna, but we work well together. Like we bounce off and then we try to balance it.
I think on any team, and I say this to the kids, you know, if we're having a family huddle, I'm like, we're a team, you know, and everybody everybody has a role here, right? Yeah. So you got to make sure that you're playing your role. You know, if you're doing camera stuff and the other one's doing, like, everybody's got a thing. And I think that the way that we can move forward is if everybody plays their role to their best, you know, and for us, a lot of times it's mid conversation. She'll just say something. I'm like, all right, that's it. And then I'm on the laptop and then don't talk to me for a while. Cause
I'm like, wait, we're talking. Like, listen to me.
But it was enough for me to get going.
Yeah, you know? And then he'll go do it.
And then I'll go do it.
I'll support it. And
I execute like right away.
Yeah.
But it's figuring out that that's how it is, and not necessarily wanting to do what the other one is doing either. You know,
it's almost like we don't do the same thing at all.
Right. Like I don't want anything to do with what she's doing at all.
Yeah.
You know, I can do it.
I can want it. Like
I can do all of it, but I just don't want to.
Yeah.
You know,
I'm always saying that she does all the mental lifting. I do all the physical lifting. So she's the brains behind the social media, the marketing, a lot of the new products, the labels, all that stuff. But once a lot of that's figured out, like labels, then now I'm the one that deals with the jars or filling some candles,
production,
labels,
right?
You know,
moving boxes, getting the whole truck loaded for a market.
So it's a team thing, and you've got to know. And I think a lot of times, I think in any relationship, not just spouse, because we often talk about relationships in all aspects. But I think in relationships, there's got to be this, you know, I'm doing this and you're doing this so that it works cohesively, right? We can't both do the same thing.
And it's not always 50-50. It's just you do this and I do that. And sometimes what you're doing is more important, and sometimes what I'm doing is more important depending on the task. But it's like you carry your weight.
You're way overloaded. What can I help you
out
with?
Right.
Exactly.
100% of the time. But it's
I ask because in fitness, the support is important too.
That's exactly what we're doing. A lot of times somebody's on a journey, and if they do have a spouse or a partner or a significant other or a sister or a brother or a cousin or insert person that is saying, hey, you're doing great. Like, you know, I need you to watch the kids so that I can go work out for 10 minutes, you know, something.
I remember when I told my brother I was going to do a show, he's like, he's going to let you? I'm like, let me.
Right?
Does it look like my dad to you?
I know.
First of all. But it's what, like, he's going to support me and he's going to do my diet. And
same reaction that I would have been like, what the fuck? I don't have to ask for permission? What's wrong with you?
Right?
Yeah.
But it's like, he's the one that's going to make it happen for me, because as a team, we want me to be happy.
And support. Right? Yeah.
That's what we all want.
It's always better. But, you know,
your life would be better if I'm happy. Yeah, it does. It plays the same at home too. And that's why I say, like, he's a great supporter. Like, you need to have that in a team to get that push.
Yeah, in fitness.
And then do you find, I've two questions about St. Cloud. Do you find that it's changed dramatically since you guys moved here? Because we've been here for 2.5 years and it's changed astronomically.
To us.
Like with crowds, you mean?
In general.
Yeah.
In general, like as a city, as people.
Yeah, it's changed a lot. Even with their markets going in, you know, just regular stuff, right? Construction or whatever. Traffic. Like, but it's the traffic, you know, it has changed over time, you know, and it's just kind of like, people are coming into the community. Like, what does that community look like? It might look a little bit different, but you know, it's changed. But I think with anything, you're always, the only thing that's constant is change.
Right.
So no matter where you start and where you come in, it's kind of like adjusting to that or finding ways to.
And how far out of St. Cloud do you guys venture?
So we always say St. Cloud is our home base. That's where we first started. It's where we did our first market, you know, so we've gone out to Claremont. We've driven to Lakeland.
We've been all the way up to Umatilla.
Yeah, to Bayapaka area. Yeah. So that kind of like radius, you know. Yeah. So we've want to venture out, you know, to bigger markets. I think one of the things that we talked about that build up to like where we want to go. We've done little markets here and there, but we've done bigger markets too, like trade shows. We've done the home and garden, show for the weekend. So we're like, we like having that, longer markets and stuff like that. So there's markets outside that are out of state. We're not prepared yet because you have to do freight and pallets and you're hauling a lot of product and stuff. But for now, we're still going as high as Apopka to, Lakeland, that whole
radius. And even then before you leave the state, there's so many things south and north of those things that you could do. Like Florida's massive. We drive cross country. We've done it a few times. Yeah. And it takes forever to get the hell out of here. Yeah. Like it is the biggest fucking state. I'm like, it's a country here. Like
we have 50 countries.
Yeah. Yeah. It's out of control.
It's so big.
Yeah.
There's so much.
So one of the things that I always ask is like whenever somebody sees the after of somebody's transformation, they always are like, man, like, so-and-so did it. I wish I could do it too, but there's always like a hiccup, right?
Yeah.
And I know that in business, it's the same. People are like, man, I really wish I could get this off the ground, or I really wish I could work on this thing. And there's a hiccup. What do you guys, now that you are 2 years in, say to that person on the other side that's maybe like thinking about it and in that 2 years ago we bought the domain phase?
Yeah.
What do you say to that person?
Honestly, just get started. Just freaking do it.
That's like my initial thought would be, you have to have some type of knowledge. So research whatever it is you're looking into, but there's a certain point that you are going to over research. So research to a point, to a certain point, and then you're going to have to just get started. Step one, don't think about the end goal. Don't think about a very large step. Just what is that very first step to get your foot in the door to start?
Milestones.
And then you're going to reevaluate and keep your flexibility. Like we talked about, things are going to come along.
So prepare, but don't overthink it. Just do it. And the reason why I say just start, because I know people that are like, oh my God, I can't, like, how do you do it? Or I've been working on this and we're 2.5 years through it. And I'm like, so where, like, what's your status? Like where, have you started? And they're like, no, we're still
thinking.
Do it. Like if you're still talking to me that you want to do it, and 2 years in, you're still saying that you want to do it and you haven't started, like just start, like you said, you don't know if it's meant to be unless you get started, until you actually get on the ground running, and
it's so funny because that's usually
out there.
That's usually what people say about fitness when he asks that question, and they're like, for that person that's thinking about getting started on a journey or stepping on stage or whatever, what do you say? And literally we have a whole collage of people that are like, just do it. Like that's literally the thing.
Because all the thinking, the time is going to pass anyway.
You can think after.
Right.
Yeah. Like do something.
You can't get all your ducks in a row before you do anything. Like fail fast. Like make the mistakes quick, so you can get them out of the way because they're coming.
And you can learn from it.
You can learn
if
from
you
it.
don't fail, then
but if you are waiting until the moment that everything is aligned the right way.
Stars align.
Yeah.
And you're like, I've got the right name and the right logo and my pens are all color coordinated and I've got, great paper and my now what?
Yeah, exactly. About anything, about going back to school, about starting a career, like even if it's a job, about having kids, about getting married, about going on a trip, like insert life thing that's big, right? It's like, if you're just going to think about it and plan it, you're never going to actually
just do it. Like he knows me. I'm like, hey, I always have ideas and I go for it. Like whether it's buying a house, like the house that we bought when we first moved, it's funny. We were living in Meadow Woods area, and I called him and I was like, hey, we're buying a house. He's like, what? And I was like, yeah, like I'm already submitting for the loan application. Like we're going to look for another house. And he's like, what? Same thing with school. Hey, I'm going to go back to school and get an MBA. And a lot of times it's just like me going for it and just pulling the plug or just clicking yes or submit on my credit card payment for something big and just saying, oops, I'll deal with it when I come across it. But at least I have an in or have like something that's going to start off 100%. Whatever it is.
We're not here that long, in life.
No, we're not.
And it's like, I'm not saying live recklessly. But live, right? And a lot of people don't, and it's such a waste. Yeah, because you're right. You could just deal with it later. Right. Yeah. I always like to ask, what has been the most impactful part about this whole thing for you guys about going on this palm crafted journey so far? What has been the most impactful?
You want to start, and then I'll do mine.
Go for it.
For me, it's being able to have my family along with it, right? Like seeing my daughter learn new skills, like. that entrepreneurship, that business, you know, and being able to spend time with them and showing them like the hard work. And it's just been a family kind of affair. And so we're always working and busy before Palm Crafted, but I feel like we're more cohesive, I guess. Like, I don't even know, like it's just brought us a little bit closer together, even though you don't think about it. We're more busy than what we were before, but it kind of gives us something to be proud about. Yes. Like my high schooler talks about Palm Crafted and they're proud about it. And, you know, my little one too, she's like, my teacher and her friends are coming, and I have like all these teachers come to the market. I'm like, good job, honey. Yeah. Like, yeah. But it's brought us closer together. And that for me has been a big impact.
That's awesome.
For now, right?
For now,
No, because we always have, you know,
next week
it'll be, no, but for now, thinking about it, that's been for me.
That's so cool.
What about for you?
No, I agree 100%.
Yeah.
Like I said, we're more busy now, but we're at home more, spending more family time.
Yeah. It's weird.
It's a weird oxymoron.
Maybe because they get to see it more than if you just went to your job.
Yeah.
Or they get to be a part of it. They get to see create it, build
we include them too, you know.
Of love.
Yeah.
Our 7-year-old for the past 2 or 3 years, every time she would get money for her birthday or whatever, chores or whatever it is, she'd put it in her piggy bank and say that she's saving for a house. I was like, yes, that's my girl.
Yeah.
And she's always thinking, trying to get both of them too.
Yeah.
About, because we're creating stuff and going to markets and selling and sharing our creativities. Now I'd be like, I'm going to do these pictures and I'm going to set up my little table and sell my stuff.
That's so cool.
That's awesome.
Yeah, so
I love that. Guys,
family.
thank you so much for sharing your
so
story.
much.
This is awesome.
It is.
Get into their personal stuff,
I
like how
know.
they met and everything.
But it's exactly what
It's
I
a nice
wanted
story.
to talk about. It's like the journey is always the part that people miss the most because they want to focus on the end result or where they are not yet.
Yes.
And you know, it's an ongoing process and an ongoing thing. And getting started is exactly what most people are missing, and doing the work along the way. So I appreciate that you guys shared your story today. I'm going to link your website and your IG and whatever
the candles
and whatever it is that you want me to link.
Actually, I want a new table.
There you go.
Make me happy.
I know a guy.
So we gotta talk about that.
So guys, we will be back next week. Lais and I will be on the show, just us next week. But thank you for watching. Do all the things that people do on podcasts: like, share, comment, subscribe. We are on. We have another
one.
We are on Spotify, iTunes, iHeartRadio, YouTube,
all the places.
All the places. So until next time, guys. Peace out.
Bye.